Welcome to another episode of Business Monday. We're here to support you to thrive in your business. Today, I'm talking about with something that is very important for business, but not a lot of us actually aware. It is our business branding. Okay. A lot of us don't realize that as a business owner, we are our branding. So, how we speak up, how we've been seen, how we present and carry ourselves all define our business. So, today I have an award winning business owner and coach, Janeen, here to share this topic with us. Hi, Janeen. Thank you so much for joining our platform here. Please tell us a little bit more about you.
Thanks, Martha. I always love sharing information, and it's just after having worked in business for over 40 years, I collected a lot of information. So if I can share it to any audience, I'm really pleased with that. My background is I was 20 years as a general manager of sales for a multi-million-dollar company. And I've also been coaching speakers and as a speaker myself for the last 20 years. I've coached some international speech winners and I've represented Australia myself. And doing both the sales and the speaking, what I realized was it's all about your personal brand and how you stand out, how you deliver your message, how you make it really concise and clear so people will realize that's the person I want to work with. And then you back it up with whatever you're doing out in the world as well and coming across consistently.
That is so true because I see a lot of business owner when they first won their business, they're very excited. Then they worry about what they do, how they seen, how they're doing that. But after a while, I totally get it. Even I slacked off a bit too. But at a certain point, we do need to maintain an image because it is built about building that love, like trust factor, isn't it?
Most definitely. A lot of people, when you start talking branding, the first thing that comes up is a logo or their colors or so, and which, are important, but I believe it's a lot more important as to how you're seen and where you're seen is important also. And then what message are you trying to get across to demonstrate you're an expert and authority in that particular field?
I hear you. So if I may ask you, what are the key elements that makes a personal or business brand stand out in today's crowded market?
The first thing is to recognize that you are an individual, even if you may be working for somebody else, that you have to stand alone. Because if you're an employee, then there's a good chance you might not be an employee for that same business for a length of time, or you might want to build a reputation to build your own business or as a consultant. So you've really got to recognize one, that you've got to stand out yourself. The second point is to be authentic. There's only one of you. Don't try and be somebody else and come across very real, that people will. And this is one thing I work with a lot of people and I say, just make a video, and they'll go, oh no, it's got to be perfect. One, there's no such thing as perfect. But the more imperfect you are, the more real you are, which is such an important factor. So recognizing that. And I think the biggest thing is to get content out there. So as you're doing it with the podcast here, that's content. And if you have written a book, that's content. If you can write articles, that's content. So just again, so people go, that person seems to know what they're talking about. And then you get noticed and you get known and then you get results.
It is true. It is true because I see a lot of people. This was what I was saying to another person this morning. A lot of people are doing something, but they're jumping around so much that they lose their consistency. Like one of the reasons for my success is that I continue to use the word confidence. So confidence is my brand, my brand. And then from that, I can branch out into doing a lot of other things as well. So that's how I see myself being very congruent and consistent with our branding.
Yeah. And that makes a big difference. I know, and I love that. It's that the one of the URLs I bought years and years ago is called The Confidence Factor. And just because, again, everything about branding, speaking, sales, being out there, getting on video, all of that, it's about your own confidence. Also, exactly what you're saying. But what is that message that you're trying to get across? And I was working with someone this morning as well, and they're just scattered everywhere. And it's then they're losing motivation and intention because, well, what do I do next? And really, I didn't want to say convince, but trying to encourage her to realize there's got to be a strategy involved. There's got to be foundations. And if you don't set the right foundations, you find that you've got the scattergun effect all the time and you're not getting results.
Yes, that's what I find people doing. It's like that we try something, then oh, it's a bit too hard. Oh, this is too difficult. And then they go and actually do something else, thinking that will be easier. But then after a while, they circle back into what they're doing. So they kind of wasted all that time instead of just honing in and just doing what they're best and so passionate about.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And that's part of the why. It's one of the first things is, why are you doing it? Why is it so important to you to do it and to stay on track with that? But then recognize, maybe, is there a version of this that's going to, one, still bring out the love of what you're doing, but it might make you money. You might just have to shift slightly. And then you can come back to doing, what I've created, because I'm at the stage in my life now where I can do what I like, really. And I can, so I choose what I want to be doing on a daily basis. And that's just not random. That's something that's been created over the years, because again, with intention, is what do I want to look like when I'm 65? So, that's a big factor. But that's again, it's strategies involved to get there. And it's then creating who you are. But a lot of people will see someone like you or me and they'll go, oh my goodness, they've got a podcast, they've written books, they do all this activity, they're on social media everywhere, they're out there networking, they've got, doing all of this stuff. I should be doing it. And that word should is probably one of the most debilitating words, other than the word perfect, that you could possibly have. And it's like, it's looking at us and saying, they might be on page 1 or 2 or 3. We're on page 57 because it's the years involved in setting everything up, and you can't make that judgment call. You've got to recognize you're on page 2 or 3 and you've got to take the steps.
Yes, that is so true. It's like that. We look at other people. It seems very easy, so I will go and try that too. It is that thinking that you don't know how much work we're actually putting behind us to actually build ourselves up. So now that brings me into a second question. So how can someone stay authentic while building a brand that resonates with the diverse audience?
It's getting really clear on your why and your message to start with. If you understand, so I help people write mission statements. I do things differently than everyone else when they talk about goal setting, but when we're talking about a mission statement, what exactly is that? So for example, my mission statement is to enable people to do what they don't believe is possible. That doesn't talk about branding, but I tell you what, that's what I do every day, and it stays focused. So for me to remain authentic in what I'm doing, well, every day I'm assisting people do what they don't believe is possible. So that's what I encourage people to do, is step right back and what is it that you want to create and why you're doing it, and put it down in words, in one simple sentence if you can, and then work towards that. And that way you remain authentic, and everything that comes across is authentically you. And I know, there's a lot of controversial subjects out there, and particularly over the last 4 years, there's been quite a few controversial subjects. And I have people that, one, choose not to talk about any things of those, which is, again, that's fine. For me to be authentic to me, I have to talk about, because personal freedom is very, 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 very high on my value system. So I have to talk about those things as well. But for me to be authentic, that's who I am, because
Yeah.
it's got to match your values.
Definitely. I completely agree with you on that because like for me, I was actually talking to a bunch of business owner that I'm teaching. Say to them, I say, you need to find your mission statement, but it may not spell what you're wanting to do. It's like
Mm.
my mission statement is that I want no woman to ever suffer in silence. That's my mission statement.
Yeah.
And what I do confidence buildings. So when you have the confidence, you can speak up, be heard, and be respected. So that's why that I do what I do, and I'm so focused into doing it, and I'm loving it because yes, it does take years, and I think that it took me probably at least about 2-3 years to find my alignment, to
Mhm.
actually let people know that that this is actually happening, and it took Facebook 4 years to actually know my marketing. And it is funny that how that once Facebook actually know your algorithm, what you're doing and things like that, it will actually help you to find the right audience as well.
Yes, most definitely. Mine, as I said, because I have so many diverse subjects, it's a bit of a different struggle. And my husband uses, he gets on my Facebook just visiting all these sites, maybe wood turning or caravanning or something. So the algorithm's all over the place.
This is so cool. We're loving it. So that brings me to another questions that I'd love to ask. So what role does storytelling plays in creating a strong, memorable brand? And how can an individual or company effectively use it?
One of the things I particularly work with clients is to get their story very, very clear. And whether they're crafting a sales story or a speaker story or a brand story, and depending on whether they're standing on stage and got 20 minutes to tell it, or they've got 1 minute and they've got to pitch their product but include it in a story. And it's one of the things I'm always looking for is, can you pitch your business in a minute with a story in it? We remember stories. Stories are, we're from childhood. We're given story books, and I think we remember the message of stories much, much better. And I know when I'm running any of my training sessions, I ask someone to sort of count the amount of stories, and they're just anecdotes,
Mm,
but they're relevant to the learning. And that's a really important word with any story that you're telling.
mm,
It's got to be relevant to what you're doing. And you can find stories anywhere. It doesn't have to be this big dramatic story. I have people say, I've got a story. Everyone's got a story, but there's also things happening every single day in your life that
mm,
you can build a story of that might pitch your business. And it can be simple. I'm just thinking, now this is really random. I was picking mulberries off our tree today, but the wind knocked a few of them down over the last couple of days. And what it made me think is that sometimes in business, there's things that come along that push us off track, and when we're not quite staying on that level line, and we really need to realize that maybe, a bit like those mulberries that have ended up on the ground, they then produce other mulberry trees. It's not that bad. You have to, anyway, that's just something I just thought of just then. But we all have stories that can be relevant. And then you would go on to say, well, that's what I do. I help businesses stay on track so they're not being pushed and swayed by any wind that comes along. So
mm.
you can make up things. And that's what I teach people to do, is just how to pull any subject, make it relevant, and make it relevant to their business.
I like that because I think that a lot of business owners, especially when they're new to social media or someone like an introvert like me, I remember that I battled myself for a period of time thinking that I need to create content. I need to tell people my story. Oh my God, what am I going to do? All that kind of thinking. But
Yeah.
then I realized something. You know what? Like what you just said, every single thing we do is a story. It could be as simple as my cat come over standing in front of my computer. And
Mhm.
it could be a story that you can relate to yourself, your business, and your day. And that's how you get your contents and be aligned with what you're doing. And I think you're completely right. You really hit the nail on the head there. It is not about pushing something out. It is about what is going on with your day, and it could be something as simple as that to bring out your story.
Mm, most definitely. And I write a blog every week, and the first part of the blog is a part of the story thing about something that's happened through the week, and then give content of some tips that might be something that someone wasn't feeling confident, for example, or
Mm,
I came across this happened and I realized that we need to have a voice, and here's some public speaking tips, or
mm,
whatever it might be. I run a retreat, a personal branding retreat, with a stylist and a photographer once a year. And what I do at that retreat is teach people how to write their story, their full story. So, because we create a story book with their images and their story, and then I edit it. And what I'm blown away every single time by, and then they just write random things, and I pull out all the gold out of it and mold it and create something that's like, and they sort of look at it and go, that is me. But wow, I didn't realize that because I had that experience, I now have this capacity. And they just didn't notice it. Whereas someone like me comes along and notices it, and just grabs the gold and really molds it into something really special. Yeah. Love it.
definitely. Definitely. So tell our audience, how do they actually get in touch with you?
The best way to get in touch with me is to email me, which is Janeen. Now, my name's spelt correctly. Well, I've got 4 Janeen friends, and we're all spelt differently, and we have this little game about whose name's spelt right. So mine is JANEEN at Janeen Vosper, VOSPER.com. That's the best way. I am on LinkedIn. You can connect. I'm on LinkedIn a lot. That's one of the places where I, really help people stand out, is on LinkedIn. You'll find, if you put Speech Perfect or Janeen Vosper, there'll be about 3 pages that'll come up. I'm definitely sure that you can find me.
Definitely. I have put in your your contact on the show notes as well,
Mhm.
because one of the way that we actually connected was through a networking meeting. We
Mhm.
met through Be Connected Network, and you are someone who actually teaches people how to have pitch perfect as well to speak.
Mhm.
Please tell us a little bit more about that part of your business.
That being able to One of the things that probably irritates me more than anything is when people are delivering their pitch. So let's talk about it in the business thing. As,
Mm.
"Hi, I'm Janine." Or they start and go, um, "Hi, I'm Janine. My business is Speech Perfect. And I do this, and I do this, and I do this, and I do this." And then they forget the call to action. They don't tell us how they help people, but this whole, and it's an Aussie thing, this upspeak, that is that a question? Is your name really Janine? Is it really speech perfect? Just practice not starting with an because it's like, are you sure that's your name?
Yeah.
Start, just to stop. Deliver your message. I am Janeen Vosper. My business is Speech Perfect. I assist people in having the confidence ability to stand in front of an audience and deliver a concise and engaging message. If you want to know more about how to do that, then reach out at janeenvosper.com. Simple as that. But it's got to have those components. But it's how you deliver it. And that's just in the pitching world. That's not the standing on stage. There's so many more components to it. But record yourself. I've worked with some young women over the last couple of years, just assisting in the misfit bikini model. It's an incredible project this woman has, and building courage and empowerment. And that was one of the things I kept saying to them: record yourself, record yourself, record yourself, record yourself, record yourself, and then record yourself again. It's the only way that you're going to notice those ums and ahs, the likes, the likes. Don't get me started on the word like. Any of those filler words. It's how you notice that you might be speaking way too quickly. But what you'll also notice is you may not be stopping at full stops, that everything is one continued sentence, or you may have upspeak. But until you record yourself and you know what to look for, then you won't be able to pick it up and you won't be able to change it.
Yeah. Definitely. Someone just asked for your email, so I'm just gonna print that and send it to her onto
You.
it. I'll do that later on onto once we finish the recording. Thank you
Excellent.
so much for sharing your wisdom with us. It's always been lovely talking to you, even from your voice of control and things like that. I already learned a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. As I said right at the beginning, I absolutely love it. And there's so much topic knowledge, after I said 40 years in business, I often don't know where to start when we have conversations like this. And certainly knowing where to finish is an important factor.
Yeah, it's lovely, lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for giving us your wisdom.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you for our audience and our listener for joining today's Business Monday. We look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye for now.